Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the all-new Season 3, The Blacklist. This is the Blacklist podcast. I am one of your hosts, number 23 on the list, Jack Wingrosky, and with me is...
Number 13, Melissa Maxey.
And we're here to talk about, episode 2 now, Marvin, Gerard, number 80 on the list. And, this kind of ended with, and really started with a wrestler really on the verge of an act of war between the United States and Russia.
Yeah, it was all Samara could do to keep him from climbing the fence, basically.
Right. So, he's really toying with the idea of invading sovereign territory in, which inside that gate is Russia. He's trying to stop the car, all this stuff going on. Well, Red kind of, how does Red find out that,
So Liz is inside the embassy and she ends up talking with them about the cabal. And she's like, I want you to give me diplomatic immunity and I'll give you information about the cabal. So they, after, long agreements or whatever, they decide that that's okay. And they're going to, but she has to go to Russia, right?
Right.
So that's when she gets in the car to go. And as she leaves, Wrestler has to let her go. Well, then he gets a phone call right as she leaves from Red, who has been sitting in a Russian, hotel, in the guy's hotel room.
Oh, the Russian ambassador.
And he's with a news anchor whose husband is a senator, right?
Oh, that was
he's
awesome.
Having an affair, like all of the stuff that Red said in the hotel room about him and her was just hilarious. And he tells Wrestler on the phone, he's like, don't let Liz leave. And he's like, it's too late. She's already gone. And he's like, well, what do you mean she's gone?
She'd already been driven off in the limousine.
Yeah. And so Wrestler's like, he's like, I can't do anything. And Red's like, you better stop her because the second she gets on that airplane, she's a dead person. And so this was one of the most exciting parts for me, was seeing Wrestler go after Liz in the car and totally chasing her down, like totally running her off the road. And Liz, he's trying to, save her, and Liz thinks he's trying to kill her. And she runs off and he doesn't get, he's all banged up, she's all banged up.
Of course, then she finally gets the phone call into Red, and he's like, actually, yeah, he's trying to save your life because if you got on that plane, you'd have been dead.
Yes.
And but my favorite quote was when the ambassador starts to get on his cell phone and call and say, hey, I've got Red Reddington right here, and he says, I doubt the Kremlin will be as jejus as I am. That he's sleeping and with the senator's wife. And of course, he has to put the phone down, and so now Red has a guy on the inside, getting that information from what's going on the other side, which we know. Right. So at this point now, we know the cabal is not only operating here, they're also operating within Russia, and now we might get some of those contacts. So later on, this could be a really important thing here.
Well, Liz said that when she was in the Russian embassy, she said that the cabal is trying to start a war between Russia and America, and that was part of the information that she was going to give. And when she meets up with Red after her car chase, she ends up in it's a restaurant, and Red's sitting there and he's like ordering pecan pie because it's like the best he's ever had.
Right.
And they sit there and talk about Wrestler and what's going on, and they have a confrontation with the couple behind him because the guy's a jerk, and Red has to get in his face with a gun to not get him to knock it off.
Right. And of course we keep seeing the face of the waitress, and keeps looking over and she's not like, oh good. We really get the feeling that maybe she's going to call the police. I mean, that's the feeling that I got.
Yeah, it was
because lo and behold, they're sitting there, and here comes the cops, and I thought,
yeah, it's
got to be that waitress, because even Red starts to kind of he
made fun of her.
Yeah,
he made fun of her after because a lot of stuff happened in the restaurant, and I want to stop for just a second and talk about this because Liz had an episode. She was so wound up, and
yeah, that's almost like a conniption.
Yeah, she totally lost it on the guy that Red had put his gun up to, you know? She lost it on him, totally wasted him. Like, he was, like, bleeding out on the floor, basically. And Red told her to knock it off. He had to actually scold her. Like, you know, like, oh my God, you took it too far. And she turned and she didn't even know where she was. She didn't even know who she was dealing with. And Red had to take her gun from her, and she was still out of it. The look in her eyes, like she didn't know where she was. She didn't know what she was doing. And it's interesting because a lot of people on the internet have kind of mentioned something about Liz being, like, conditioned. Like, maybe something had happened when she got her mind erased as a child, or maybe she was genetically engineered to be kind of like a super soldier. You know, like maybe she's got some special DNA.
I don't know. I mean, I've been watching another series called Blind Spot where, you know, this girl kind of is she's wound up with her memory erased. All her entire body is covered in tattoos, which are clues to these other events, right? And it turns out that she's really trained. And of course, I mean, she just knocks the crap out of everybody. Whereas Liz has had FBI training. You know, she finally now this season just really seems like a real competent, trained FBI agent. And I think that's what we're seeing. I don't think it's a conditioned thing, but I do think that, you know, there's something maybe along those lines. I don't think it's like a super secret agent because she just hasn't gone over the top yet. You know, I think she's still finding her confidence. I think it was they went kind of over the top with this because it was the emotion of, like, she couldn't handle everybody staring at her like she was the bad person, because it's always been Red. You know, she's always been on the side of good, and now people are looking at her like they look at Red when Red just shoots somebody in the forehead. You know that
right.
You know that,
and she mentions that. She talks about that. She's like, and especially when the guy's girlfriend or wife won't let Liz help him. You know, she's
right.
he's gonna collapse. His lung is gonna collapse, and she's like, I can't even help him. You know, she's you know, that's when Red makes that funny joke to the girl behind the counter. He's like, so go ahead, you can call the cops now again. As we exit the building. But before that happens, that's when Marvin Gerard shows up, right? Because they want the list
of demands, and Marvin Gerard is one of them.
Yeah, when they close the place down, he wants the FBI to deliver Marvin Gerard to him, a lawyer, criminal defense lawyer.
Right, and this guy he really had everything. He wound up losing his wife. I forget what happened. Did she cheat on him, or what happened to? He had like.
I think she was into drugs and alcohol and drugs, and he lost custody.
Oh. Yeah, he lost custody of the kids and everything, and so he just kind of went nuts and started, you know, kind of working on the other side of the law. You know, but he got him. So, you know, why am I here? You know, they get him. He's only got like days before parole, and it's funny because like this entire time he's like, they're not going to give me parole. They're not going to give me parole now. You know, I'm ready to get out.
My girlfriend,
right? And. You know, and federal charges, I don't know if you know this, and this is something recent I learned, and a little fact checking is the federal system, there is no parole. So, you know, he wasn't being held by the FBI. It must have been, you know, county or state, because, you know, I was thinking, but, you know, the FBI must have gone in. So we'll kind of give that one the benefit of the doubt. But
what was interesting was when they brought him in, he started going through. He's actually working for Red, like he's doing some cabal business for him. And when he was pulling up stuff on the computer, he pulled Red to the side and he's like, "I need you to look at this section. Have you read this between these lines? You know, 119 to 123 or what, something like that." And Red starts reading it, and he's like, "Well, this changes everything." He's like, "We're going to need a lot of green lights to get through this section." And it was very vague. So I know they're going to bring that up in another episode, but it has to do with his getting to the Cabal for some reason. Getting more information so that he can get to whoever's at the top.
Right. Well, and that's what Marvin Gerard's specialty really was. We thought, oh, maybe he'll try to lawyer him up or something, but this is the guy that finds these little patterns inside the paperwork, and that's how he was able to establish this really big practice, because he was defending all these bad guys and finding loopholes and finding all these little inconsistencies in the information, and boom, he finds it right away. I guess, what did he talk about? The shadow councils?
Yeah.
He finds the loopholes, gets his freedom, and let's see, where's the voice transcripts and the 911. So yeah, those that section that he found, I think, had voice transcripts, and so that's part. Like, it'd be interesting to see, because they're going to have to find these people.
Right, they're going to have to figure out who they are and be able to track them down.
So meanwhile, Red goes up, Wrestler gets up to talk, and they say, look, we're here to negotiate. And he says, no, seriously, this is like, yes, I'm going to start killing people one at a time unless you meet my demands. Where's, I need the power back on. And he really seems serious. And, so they're getting all this together. And, so while this is going on, they all start going in the back in the back of this place, in the elevator that goes we don't know where. And then they go to the FBI where Wrestler is, and they start, where's the 911 call that somebody called it in? And it's all Red. Red called them in so that they had a diversion. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And they sneak out the back way.
Yeah, in a giant freezer. I mean, it was a freezer that was an elevator, and even once they walked in, and we could see the little number plate that they used, little code dial.
Yeah.
But it was just showing a temperature. Wrestler was smart enough to figure it out, but not smart enough to go to the little pad. And
to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, who would think the whole giant room was an elevator? How awesome was that?
That was amazing. I like how all of his, favorite places to go have total secret passages and, rooms and escape routes, everything.
So, man, it just so much action, so many things going on here. Let's see. So we know that the Cabal is still blaming Liz. And so, now, they've got a plan. They've picked up the lawyer's wife, because he thought, oh, my life is over.
His girlfriend, Becky.
Oh, right. His girlfriend, Becky.
Yeah, they picked her up so that he could, and Red sends him to a banana farm on some island somewhere. Have a Mai Tai.
Yeah.
Have the guy air dry your sheets. So sleep like a baby.
Another great Red quote.
The next thing we see is Red and Liz, and they're in this gorgeous room, right? And because everything that Red has is completely
over the top,
fabulous. And she's lamenting about how she really hurt that guy, and how can people, how does Red deal with people looking at him like he's a killer and that are scared of him, and she didn't like that feeling. And he talks to her a little bit about his Navy, how he wanted to be captain of a ship, and how he wanted to be out on the sea, finding the under the stars,
right. And of course, lo and behold, he opens the door.
Yeah.
And now, was that a small cruiser? Was that a submarine? Because it sure they were on top of a submarine.
You know what it looks like? It looks like a train car,
Well, they were in
cargo,
right?
A cargo box. What it is a tiny home. I'm I want that tiny home.
I'm sure they have them. They have all these little tiny houses now that You
I
know,
want one.
where you've got like 300 square feet and it has a kitchen
Yeah.
and a bedroom.
I want mine to look just like that one.
Man, like wood floors and just really great
the
wood
bar.
trim and a bar and man. I mean, that was
Table.
that was nicer than any house I have ever lived in. That's for sure.
The art on the wall. There's a bedroom in the back. Yeah, so it was cool. The best thing that he said was, at the end, he said, that's Polaris, the North Star. That's how sailors use to find their way home. When I look at you, that's what I see. I see my way home.
You know, and it's funny that she talks about that he would be, like you said, he would make that great captain, and he's trying to poo-poo it off, but I can't imagine if Red was still in the Navy. Oh, he'd be amazing.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
Oh yeah, he'd be an admiral in probably like the sub duty or Navy SEALs, secret in charge of some of the clandestine teams.
Exactly.
Maybe when this is all over, he should do that, like kind of our version of Hunt for Red October.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Actually Spader could do like a whole, like another series.
Can we do that?
Where-
Let's do that. I love that so much.
Yeah, can you imagine if they created a whole new series after this where he is in the Navy? Oh, that would be
This
great.
makes me happy.
And he wouldn't even have to break character. It would just be
No.
He's already got the haircut. And instead of the fedora, you just got the garrison cap, and he's good to go.
Oh my gosh. It's interesting that, Liz asked him why didn't he become a captain? Why did he go into intelligence? And it was funny what he said, someone's got to take care of the spies or something like that. It's like, there's really so much backstory with Red that they just need to, dive into. There's so much stuff they can do. I mean, they could do a whole series on just that, just like his, time from then to now.
Right. When things start to get slow, they could do like a prequel episode where he's actually in the Navy and doing a couple missions and the events leading up to that. That would be really cool.
Yeah, it would.
All right, so let's see. What else is left? Harold. So this is the one where, and I almost gave this up at the end of our first episode last week. And we started to talk about Harold, and, they were threatening to move him to CJIS, third attempt is the charm, and if he didn't choose to just go ahead and retire. And, he's not going to do it. And at least if he's still inside, he can help Elizabeth and Red in some way. Which, to me, I think it's just even more evidence that he's going to get his job back. He's going to, at some point, he will save the day. He will be proved right. And wrestler will kind of go back to being wrestler, and Harold will.
I think he'll be a little bit changed wrestler. Speaking of wrestler, let's talk about wrestler for a second here at the end. Yeah. I know that we have a little bit of Solomon to talk about too, but I want to talk about wrestler. At the end, he's looking at, why did Red pick Gerard? He's like, there's something up with that. And as he heads home, he's walking to his apartment, and who do we see? Tom Keene.
We need to talk.
We need to talk.
And of course, he's flashing the weapon right at him. Like, you're not going to shoot Tom. Just put it down. Come on, Diego.
And then we see Solomon. He has Dembe tied up and wants to know where Red is, and is putting his cue ball and 8-ball in a bag so he can totally pound on him.
Right. Well, he came to he basically turned himself in so that the granddaughter would get the antidote. But he makes Dembe drink it. So if Dembe doesn't find him in a certain amount of time, now Dembe's going to die because he still is going to need that antidote himself.
Exactly.
So will it get to the point where he'll find Red and warn him, and then they'll figure it out some way? But must going how do I say this? There's probably going to be a showdown soon between Solomon and Red, which is a shame because I think they could stretch this out.
Well, they may stretch it out. I think that Tom is going to be the one to, like, he may be the one to help with that. Like he told, I mean, he's kind of like the wild card, so he could pretty much do anything.
Right. I mean, he has no allegiance to FBI, CIA, any foreign agencies, and he's really just there for Liz.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
I mean, maybe he'll help Red with Liz for a little while so Red can go and find Dembe.
It really surprised me that she didn't go off with Tom Keene in the first place. Going off on that boat would have been perfect. Nobody would have found.
Did it surprise you? It didn't surprise me.
I think it really did because, from a story perspective, oh, you're bad for me, bad girl and bad boy.
It's not the Love Boat.
Well, it could have been, and it would have made for some interesting things. I think the problem is then how do you keep the star of the show, or, the focus of the show, I should say. They're all stars, but right. How do you keep the focus of the show, Red kind of, if she's out cavorting with Tom, how do you keep Red in the mix? And so
I think that's why they did that, because it's really, I like how they're spending so much time with Red and Liz together so that we can get a little bit more information about each character and how they interact with each other.
Yeah, and that's such a different aspect of season 3 is I really got tired of where Liz wouldn't talk to him for about half the episode because he found out last episode that he lied to her yet again because...
Yeah, betrayal.
Right, betrayal, but not really because he, in the end he's trying to protect her. So, but, they still have to, function as a team. So then she starts talking to him and then, she really almost is, I don't want to say in love, but kind of back to that he's my father figure. And then she won't speak to him again. And this is just so much more fun to me.
Yeah, I agree.
They're a team. They're working on the same cause. It's them against the cabal. And now it's time for the offensive. They're going to stop running. I think they're going to start hunting and going after people. And do they even know about Solomon yet? I don't think they do.
No, they don't.
So
they don't.
They're going to go on the hunt and at the same time being hunted. So I think that's where Dembe is going to get kind of his redemption is that he'll find Red, and that's when they'll find out about the Solomon guy, and then Red will come up with some brilliant plan because Red always does.
Of course he does.
Yeah. And what else? We got Harold. So Harold is going to he's going to be the inside man,
along with Wrestler, because Wrestler's just pretending that he's just being, in charge. I mean, he's in charge, but he's also helping Liz out.
He is, but at the same time, he just wants to, I think he wants to help her by bringing her in and saying, this was all Red's fault, or maybe if she apologizes, it'll all go away, which, is really naive. I can't believe that he's kind of gone this way, but at any point, he's just going to, he's going to help Liz, even if he has to let her go again or save her life again. And it is just kind of funny. So where are they going to go with this?
I don't know. It'll be fun to find out.
So now it's still where is Raymond Reddington time? So yeah, I guess coming off from here and into next week, it's just going to be them on the offense, not knowing that they're really being followed the entire time.
That's right.
So
it's going to be good. I can't wait to see what happens next, especially with Dembe, and if they can rescue him, how long that's going to take. And I'd like to hear what Tom has to say to Wrestler. I'd like to hear what he has to say.
Well, I think he'll kind of be that wild card for Wrestler where he doesn't have to operate within the limits of the law, or he can kind of go in under the radar, because Wrestler it's not going to service anybody if he keeps countering orders and running into a Russian diplomatic convoy. I mean, the real life implications of that would have been huge. Not just like the
well, he would have started another war. I mean,
it wouldn't have started a war, I don't think, quite yet, but attacking a diplomatic convoy is huge. That would have been the first step. And Wrestler would have been probably just imprisoned, not just lose his job.
Right.
Yeah. Are they going to go back?
He still may have. There's still ramifications from that. I mean, we don't know for sure what's going to happen with that. I mean, can they smooth that over? Are they just going to ignore it? Maybe.
It's hard to say. I guess if they do some in-depth story, or maybe it'll be part of the reason that Cooper gets his job back, because they'll say, you did this and you did that, and we could prosecute you, or you could just take your old position and we'll call it even. So
right.
It sounds kind of hokey, but I think that would be the leverage. Otherwise, why would he step down? There's got to be something where, we've got some things over you. Why don't you just be quiet and take your old gig back? And I don't, I don't think he would be hesitant about it either. I think the whole team just kind of wants to get the team back and hunt the people on the blacklist.
Exactly.
When all is said and done, it's going to be very difficult to get that, though. How do you get back? After Liz, even in the end, Liz still shot the Attorney General of the United States. I mean,
I know. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff up in the air right now. I mean, all of these betrayals, all of these things that Liz has actually done, like shooting him, and wrestling. I mean, there's just so much stuff. Like, I'm surprised that everybody's not going to be going to jail.
Like the season, like next, the end of the season,
as we do like the breakout. Dembe breaks him out of jail.
It'll be called
Prison.
Red is the new black.
It'll be called the Blacklist Alcatraz.
I liked my orange is black reference. I thought it was pretty.
Or
funny.
The new black.
The new,
or just the new red. Yeah.
Yeah. The Blacklist is the new black.
I love that show.
I know. Well, can you think of anything else?
No, I can't wait for next week.
Yeah. I've checked around for any news. There's really nothing that we didn't go over last week. So if you like this episode and you didn't catch the last one, there's a little bit of news and a little bit of YouTube things that we had found and some interviews. So go check that out. Let's see. My Twitter is at J1 Grosky, and Melissa, yours is?
At MS Maxey, and the Blacklist Pod is on Instagram as the Blacklist Pod and on Twitter as Blacklist Pod.
And this show was brought to you by the Southgate Media Group, which you can find at www.southgatemediagroup.com. It's an all-new and revamped website about all our shows, blogs, and all sorts of good stuff, even live events, I think, in the Chicago area. They're doing a lot of Comic-Cons and really great things. And so you can click on there. You can find us on iTunes. Please do some reviews and all that. And I think that kind of takes us to about the end, doesn't it?
I think so.
All right. Well, I guess that's about all I have.
Until next time. See you then.
See you then. I want to do that over again.
I know. You forgot.
I forgot. I can't believe I forgot that. I'm until next time.
I know.
Good Lord Almighty. I don't even know where I stopped in that whole diatribe.
I don't know.
It's because
we could just leave it. It may be kind of funny. They'll be like, "Huh, that was different."
But that's our thing.
I know, it's our thing.
Well, I've been sick, and it's like, when your mind is just not kind of running on all cylinders. Thursday, I had to teach an ensemble, and I just went home. I didn't even think about it. I wasn't feeling good. I got in the car, I drove home, and I was like, man, I was supposed to teach a class.
Oh my God. You totally spaced the class.
Yeah. I mean, I just went home. I'm done. That's it. I'm done for the day. And I went
No.
Yeah, I just went home. I said, that's it. I'm done. And so I blame it on the cold.
Did you have to call back in there and say, sorry?
No, I mean, it's an ensemble, so hopefully they just rehearsed until time to go home. So
good.
I give them sometimes a little more direction, so that I think it flows better when I'm there, and I get them to kind of listen to certain things and really work stuff out. But I'm gonna try and there's a guy that worked with the actual Miles Davis ensemble. And I think I'm going to try and see if we can do like a little Skype, have the band play for him on Skype.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And then have him do a little like critique. Get like
awesome.
Yeah, I think that would work out. Hopefully get like a little camera and a little TV screen so that big enough where everybody can see and interact and say you do this, try a little of that, and if nothing else, it's just like, they got to interact with Dave Liebman, who's, he's really into jazz education, and he's a little eccentric on the music side, and he's not gonna, he's not gonna be like a pop name or anything, but I'm sure he's doing all right though.
Awesome.
All right, so let's see, where did I end it on? Let's see. Well, I think that's about all I have until next time.
See you then.
Boom.